UFC 329 is here. The Mac is fucking back. We are taking on Max Holloway in the main event. We got Paddy Pimblett and BSD. Beautifully Garbage. I just made a video kind of breaking down the entirety of that fight, going through some of their past performances. If you want to check that one out, that's a full kind of breakdown of that fight. We also got Mario Bautista, the King of Rio, versus Cory Sandhagen. I have some takes on that one that might upset some of my fellow white people. We got Terrance McKinney and Bobby Green. That fight, you'll blink and it'll be fucking over. Lone'er Kavanagh, oh my days, versus Brandon Royval. The Bobby Whittaker light heavyweight title run will start on this card, and many other big fights are on this one. But let's start off, might as well start off with the fucking main event, Conor McGregor versus Max Holloway. Also, if you're here, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Listen, man. This hurts me as a fellow Irishman, a guy who is about to get his fucking Irish passport too. I bleed fucking Ireland. I bleed Ireland, bro. Bleed fucking red. Up the raw. There's just no way a guy who's almost 40 years old coming off a 5-year layoff is actually going to beat Max Holloway. And especially even when you look at the Poirier fights, he didn't really even look that good in them. Looked fucking much slower. And really in the time since he's fought Dustin Poirier, he's just been partying with the Nelk boys, putting weights on his cock, taking steroids, doing some movies, and I just can't see him beating a guy who I still think is one of the best lightweights in the world in Max Holloway. I think Holloway's going to win this one by round 2 TKO. Max Holloway is still one of the best volume strikers in the UFC. He's got a power bump up at 155. I'll say his chin has probably gotten worse as we've seen kind of his last few fights where he's getting dropped by Gaethje, Poirier, destroyed by Ilya, Charles wobbling him. He's just not the same guy anymore with his chin. But, at range, he's going to kind of throw these long punches at you with a high variety of different kicks. He will probably outkick Conor McGregor in this one. He'll lean in with kind of his blitzing combos, then he circles out. Now, his circling out tendencies, I did this back when I was breaking down his last fight against Charles, have gotten predictable. And, I think I could see a world where McGregor maybe catches him as he's circling out. I think if you had, obviously, Conor in his prime versus Max in his prime, I do think Conor would win this. I think it is kind of a textbook matchup for Conor McGregor to win, where I think he would finish Max Holloway. Not saying he can't do it right now, but I do think McGregor will look decently sharp early on, or at least fairly early within the first few minutes, where maybe that's kind of his only hope of winning. He needs a round 1 KO, in my opinion, because the longer this fight goes on, the more Max Holloway will take over. McGregor, again, great with his distance management, his counter striking, obviously beautiful, where he'll use his kicks to disguise that left hand. Not too shabby on the ground by any means, does have jiu-jitsu, but has had a cardio problem, and I can't see it getting any better since it's been 100 years since he last fucking fought. And, listen, he could just look like absolute shit against Max Holloway. He could just get bombed in fucking 2 minutes or a minute and he just dies. It's not like he really looked great against Dustin in his last 2 fights. But I do think, again, that he will at least have moments early on where he does catch Max Holloway. He's always been known to punish you if you're circling a lot on the outside. And Max Holloway does have shorter arms and is at a massive reach disadvantage. I mean, he's a fucking T-Rex for a reason. But I do think he can have success at range with his longer frame and theoretically could punish him. I just don't think it could really happen. At least Max Holloway has been active and I know he's still good. I don't really know what Conor McGregor is actually going to look like out there. It's still insane I'm fucking talking about this fight. But I just don't think he can go 5 rounds with Max Holloway. It won't even get past the 3rd, in my opinion. At most it's going to the 3rd round. Some might say, ooh, the grappling. Conor McGregor, he out-grappled Max Holloway a fucking billion years ago when my balls hadn't even dropped yet. Yeah, but I think grappling in this fight for Conor would be a waste of energy and time. Already a guy who I don't think has a great gas tank by any means and would just waste, any of his cardio trying to out-grapple Max Holloway, who does have good takedown defense against guys who aren't elite level wrestlers. And also, it's even if he gets him down, Charles Oliveira couldn't submit Max Holloway. What the fuck is Conor going to do to him? I think Max will kind of force Conor to follow him. He'll play it smart for the majority of the fight, make him miss. Maybe Conor clips him at some point when Max is circling out in the first round and Max will survive. but I just don't think Conor McGregor will be able to consistently track down the movement and kind of just the overall speed and timing of a Max Holloway. I think round 2 will come around. Max is kind of just landing more counters and lands a big right, and the fight's fucking over. It does pain me to say that, because I've kind of gotten stuck watching back so many old McGregor fights of in his prime where I'm kind of getting stuck in the aura of McGregor. I'm like, oh shit, maybe he really can win. And you just watch back the Poirier fights and you're like, yeah, was there kind of some moments with his boxing? Yeah, but think about it. If you're kind of saying, oh, there were some moments 5 years ago, or any of those moments going to actually exist now? Maybe he has one. I just can't really see him landing incredibly cleanly on Max Holloway for extended periods of time. I think he has to get it done in the first round. I know Max's chin is not great, and defensively is not responsible. He's eaten the most significant strikes in UFC history. But I just trust Max Holloway's overall durability and just the fact that he's been active more than Conor McGregor, who I have no clue what's going to look like. I know he looks locked in. He's telling Justin Gaethje to wait in the fucking queue. Wait in the fucking queue. And fucking talking about Shavkat, that he poses no interesting threat to him. Listen, I'm fully bought into McGregor in terms of I really want to see him win this. It's just not going to happen. I think Max Holloway wins this with pretty much ease, will knock out Conor McGregor by round 2 TKO. Let's move on to talking about Paddy and BSD, because Paddy Pimblett versus BSD, which I did a whole video down again. Check that out if you want to. This is a really interesting fight because I think both guys fucking suck. I don't really think either one of them is very good by any means. I think they're both dog shit. Just kind of figuring out who is less dog shit, you know what I mean? Because on one end you have BSD, who he smells, he's French, he doesn't take showers, he has staph every fight, doesn't move his head. He's so fucking slow. I mean, he moves fucking like your grandma does. Shoots takedowns with his head down, gives up his neck on every takedown attempt, and pretty much gets put into guillotine against any competent grappler like Dan Hooker. I mean, he was giving Dan Hooker neck for pretty much any single time he shot in on a takedown. Fuck. Almost fucking choked there. Obviously, BSD has great clinch work, which I think if he is to win this fight, it's going to be kind of making it ugly inside. Does have nice head and body kicks that he can use to get to his takedowns, but I wouldn't really say his like takedown game is really that great. Again, it's so fucking slow. On the ground, he is pretty good, vicious ground and pound. Not a guy who I think has this elite BJJ by any, stretch, but he does have a physicality advantage over a Paddy Pimblett. Paddy is a guy who doesn't move his head either, chins all the way up in the air, can offensively wrestle, has good BJJ, but doesn't really have a way to get to his submission game unless you're shooting in on him or like he hurt you and then he can kind of jump on a submission that way. Sometimes he'll fucking do like pulling guard in crazy ways like flying triangles and shit. But BSD, listen, he's the ultimate marauder. His goal in this fight is to push Paddy Pimblett to the back of the cage, because Paddy really struggled with that in the Gaethje fight, where Gaethje was consistently pushing Paddy back, and that was really causing Paddy to have a lot of problems, causing him to get knocked down, just take a ton of damage. I just think if Paddy is to win this fight, he's going to have to, first of all, establish the center of the octagon, work his jab. I do think he is a better boxer than BSD. Before I kind of had done the tape study, I was like, BSD has to be the better overall striker. Then you watch him. You watch this guy throw fucking punches to the body. You're like, it looks like he's moving in quicksand. He moves so slow. I think Paddy Pimblett, his striking is aesthetically not pleasing whatsoever, but he has a better jab. He can make decent reads, like had moments against Gaethje in that third round where he was landing clean with his overhands that look like fucking hammer fists. They don't really make a lot of sense, but they still work, and he can still cause damage to. I don't think he'd chin BSD by any means, but I think he can do damage to him. I think the body kicks are going to be there for Paddy Pimblett all day. Dan Hooker really caused a lot of problems to BSD with those front kicks to the body, and BSD was clearly bothered by them. And I think Paddy Pimblett has pretty good kicking game, whether it's his leg kicks or his body kicks, knees up the middle. That's another weapon for you, and he is fairly patient. He will kind of wait to pick you apart and wait for you to kind of just be weak and have openings. He'll also have these random times where he like fucking blitzes in and does this weird like punching thing that really doesn't make any sense. I just think I'm going to go with Paddy Pimblett here. I initially was on BSD, but I just really worry that BSD is going to shoot one of these dumb takedowns with his head down, put himself into a guillotine grip, and Paddy Pimblett, which he doesn't have any guillotine submissions, so I'm not going to say Paddy Pimblett by guillotine. He'll transition to the fucking the triangle choke and submit him that way. It's what he did to Bobby Green a couple years ago. I could totally see that working for him. I think there are worries for Paddy Pimblett in terms of how does he survive in the clinch with BSD. If BSD gets him down, will Paddy Pimblett be able to scramble out, throw up submissions of his own, or will he just kind of be stuck there on bottom and just fucking eating elbows? Because again, BSD has very good ground and pound. I just think Paddy's going to win this. There's a certain plot armor. Certain scousers don't get knocked out. I know I don't really like to say that, but this is a dumb fucking fight. Let me tell you something. If Paddy Pimblett loses his fight, I've shit on both these guys pretty equally throughout their careers. If Paddy Pimblett loses his fight after I was pretty much picking BSD up until this week, I'm going to be absolutely fucking furious, and he'll be dead to me. If BSD loses, it's like I never thought he was good anyway, so it's like who really gives a fuck? And I got the pick right. But I just think BSD's going to shoot in, give up his neck. Paddy Pimblett will transition to some triangle choke like he did against Bobby Green and submit him. There's real plot armor here with Paddy, and I think it can really go either way, but just on the outside. If the fight's on the outside, Paddy's fine with there. BSD has to fucking rush in. Paddy's very comfortable on the outside with his kicks, working kind of his long-range arms, and just has better boxing fundamentals than BSD. I have settled on this. I do think Paddy Pimblett is less shit than BSD. I think the bar, it's not very high. Both these guys, I think, don't do that much from a technical sense. I just think Paddy Pimblett is just a little bit better and definitely more technical on the feet than a BSD. So again, Paddy Pimblett's going to use those front kicks, use those body kicks to soften up BSD. He's going to try and establish the center of the octagon, do the best of his ability. Hopefully bait BSD into a bad takedown and finish a submission that way, because BSD gives up his fucking neck every single time. If BSD's smart, he's not doing any of that takedown bullshit. He's just going to try and get into the clinch with this guy as many times as possible and make this fight ugly. If he can land a takedown with keeping his head inside, which he has done before, he can win this fight. I don't think it's impossible. But again, I'm going Paddy Pimblett by submission in either round 2 or round 3. Let's move on to Cory Sandhagen versus Mario Bautista, the King of Rio, with Jose Aldo next to him. And then Cory Sandhagen, bladed stance, stance switch. I love weed and skateboards and matcha and claros. I'm sorry to white people that I've disrespected Cory Sandhagen. As a fellow white, I should be standing up for Cory. I should be standing up for stance switching and the outside foot battle. But I'm not, because listen, I think Cory Sandhagen can definitely win this one. I honestly think he's a better fighter than Mario Bautista. But there's just a certain vibe I'm getting from watching Cory Sandhagen these days where he just doesn't have that killer instinct anymore. I feel like he's not really chasing to get finishes anymore, and I just think Mario Bautista is going to get him, man. Shout out Lucas Tracy for that one, Again, as a white guy, it hurts to pick against a Cory Nerdhagen, but I just don't see it anymore with him. Like, he's very well-rounded with the stance switching, a lot of calf kicks, a lot of jabs, can't really hurt you on the feet, will counter you with a left hook every now and then, can take you down, try and find submissions, but his takedown defense is not that great, which worries me against a Bautista who I think is just going to relentlessly try and finish this fight. I just feel like when you watch Cory Sandhagen now, you watch a guy who's kind of overthinking and just not really doing enough in fights. And I think Mario will push a high pace on him. A lot of action, body kicks. His boxing is massively improved since their first fight against each other like 7 years ago. And his footwork has also improved. He's got a nice double leg. Also has kind of shown a newer part of his game where he could find those body lock takedowns like he did against Vinicius Oliveira, where he fucking dominated Oliveira. He'll hunt for submissions on the ground. I just look at Mario Bautista and I see a guy who has improved so much over the course of his UFC career and is kind of well-rounded in all areas of the game. And I don't think Cory Sandhagen is elite in one area that I can really see him exploiting Mario Bautista. I don't think either guys are dudes who are necessarily going to finish you, but they're both pretty technical. And I just like the improvements of Mario Bautista at this point in his career, with his boxing fundamentals getting better, which is his overall, I don't even know, will to win. It sounds dumb. This is literally a Tracyism where it's just I just really think Mario Bautista is going to get him. It doesn't matter what you show me with Cory Sandhagen. I've just been impressed what I've seen from Mario Bautista, where a lot of people in the community hated this guy for the Aldo fight, even though Aldo gets held up on the fence every fucking loss. I just like Mario Bautista. I've loved the Patchy Mix performance. The Vinicius Oliveira performance was one of the better ones of the last year. He also dropped Umar, man, and Cory Sandhagen got absolutely shut out by him. I know I don't want to do the MMA math fucking dance there, but it did happen that way. I lean Mario by decision. I think he can just land enough takedowns in this one, even if he's not necessarily keeping Cory down. I think just the visual of him constantly shooting will get him to win this one. Maybe it's a controversial split decision. I don't really care. I'm kind of done with Cory Sandhagen. I'm a little bit intrigued by Mario Bautista. I've liked his overall mentality and his improvement. I think he's going to win this one by 29-28, unanimous decision. Let's move on to Brandon Royval versus Lone'er Kavanagh. Oh my days, Lone'er Kavanagh. This guy's fucking incredible. And listen, I bought into Lone'er Kavanagh hype. I was always a little skeptical about him, and then the Charles Johnson knockout happened. I was like, oh, maybe I'm vindicated by that. And then he steps up on short notice to fight Brandon Moreno in Elevation in Mexico City. I'm like, you know, Moreno, even though he lost to Tatsuro Taira, I feel like he's just too good of a vet. He's one of the best flyweights of all time. He should kind of easily beat a guy who's had cardio issues and is going into this dude's home turf and fighting on short notice. Boy, was I wrong, because Lone'er Kavanagh kicked his fucking ass for 5 rounds. Dominated him in all aspects of MMA, except if I do believe Brandon Moreno might have held him up on the fence for like a round, which kind of worried me, but then I was like, Lone'er Kavanagh knew he's fucking winning the fight anyway. So who really cares? Either way, I think Lone'er Kavanagh is going to get a highlight finish here. My worry for Brandon Royval, and this is a guy I've supported, I picked him a couple times on this channel, he has taken too much damage for my liking in his last couple fights, you know. The Van fight was obviously one of the best 3-round wars you'll ever see. And, you know, he took a lot of damage there, lost. And then the Manel Kape fight. I get Manel Kape kind of has this special power for flyweight, but Lone'er Kavanagh also has insane power for the division. And I think when you've taken that much damage within the last year, I can't confidently pick you to beat a guy of Lone'er Kavanagh's stature. He's the future. I think he's learned a lot of lessons after the Charles Johnson fight, has improved a lot. And, you know, Royval does do some things really well. He's a really good volume fighter who will spam his jab really well, throw a lot of kicks on the outside. He's kind of really good in crazy exchanges where he can kind of throw weird spinning shit, flying knees. Has nice subs, but no real offensive wrestling. I could see Lone'er kind of getting into ugly spots if he's initiating a lot of the wrestling on Brandon Royval, and maybe Royval can craft up a submission. He's also not really that great defensively. He's just tall for the division, uses his length well. Also doesn't really have a lot of power in his hands. Lone'er is just so explosive, so fast with his calf kicks, his body kicks, check left hook, really nice 1-2, just mixes it up so when you watch Lone'er Kavanagh, you're like, this guy is champ shit, this guy's champ material, this guy's CSO, he's champ shit only. And, you know, some people who are picking Royval have said, like, ooh, look how he gassed against Charles Johnson. Look how Lone'er Kavanagh gassed against Charles Johnson. Listen, Lone'er tried to work in the grappling too much in that fight. I don't really think he's going to do that here. And I don't really worry too much about his gas tank following the Moreno fight on short notice and Elevation. He also has nice takedown defense. So if there's a world where Royval's trying to work grappling into this fight, I don't really think it's going to work. I just think Lone'er Kavanagh is going to back him up to the fence. Royval can't really, land explosively in the pocket, and Lone'er will put him out pretty badly in like round 2. Royval's a worse wrestler and a striker, probably a better grappler in terms of submission game, but he also has a worse chin. I just think Lone'er would need a gas out to lose this fight, and as I was saying before, I don't really worry about his gas tank anymore. Brandon Royval is very jab heavy. It's not like he's a guy who's hitting you with a ton of really powerful stuff. Lone'er made mistakes against Charles Johnson, but if you get knocked out by Charles Johnson, you essentially are on a champ trajectory, and that's what Lone'er Kavanagh is right now. If you get knocked out by him, good things happen for your career. I just think Lone'er Kavanagh is going to get a highlight reel finish sometime in round 2. Let's move on to Bobby Green versus Terrance McKinney, and somebody will win this fight. That is kind of what I've settled on, because I don't think there is some perfect analysis that you can have for Bobby Green versus Terrance McKinney, because it's a very interesting fight. You know, you could kind of, again, convince me to pick either guy. Bobby Green's a dude who I've really bought onto this hype train. I think I've picked him pretty much every fight on this channel. He's a volume guy. Cardio is going to push a pace on you. He's going to put his hands down. He's going to talk shit at you, say, what's up? What's up? And move his head a lot, counter you really well. Underrated footwork, like he really can trick you on when he's moving in and out and wants to close the distance on you. Can also mix in like a blast double leg if you want, so I wouldn't really expect that here against the Terrance McKinney. You can punish his head movement, though, because it can get predictable and he doesn't have a good chin whatsoever. And you have Terrance McKinney, who glass cannon kind of guy, can scramble very well, will like lock in wild submissions, has really nice timing on the feet, hits you so hard and so fast, does have bad cardio and a bad chin, and is not super technical by any means. I could see a world where Terrance McKinney's really kind of missing, Bobby Green's making a miss, he's emoting on him, and it's just kind of a technical masterclass knockout by Bobby Green early. But the thing about Bobby Green is, that spooks me, his hands are always down. And I feel like Terrance McKinney, as long as he just lands cleanly on Bobby Green, he will finish him. That's my worry. Funniest outcome I wrote here would be Terrance McKinney point fighting Bobby Green for 3 rounds. Also, side note, worries me how salty Bobby Green has been in the lead up to this fight, because these guys were apparently boys and he's pissed that Terrance McKinney took the fight even though the UFC wanted him to. And I also don't know how Bobby Green's going to perform in his new gangster fucking shorts. Maybe he's a mythical fighter in them. Maybe he's not. I have no clue. We're going to find out. Eventually the Bobby Green run has got to stop. It might not stop here, but it's like he's so old. Somebody's going to chin him. Like, he's gone on 3 fights where he hasn't gotten fucking chinned. Somebody's got to chin him soon. It's got to be Terrance McKinney. Either way, I don't really actually care who wins this fight. I probably have more of a Bobby Green fan if I'm being honest with you. So I guess I'd rather him win. But who cares really? This is going to be a fucking banger, blink, and it will be over. Let's move on to the prelims though. Let's talk about one of the channel legends. Robert fucking Whittaker. Bobby Whittaker, I said, will avoid the Brazilian 10 because he's in line for the Brazilian 10. We're trying to avoid that 10th loss here. I think Bobby has to win this one. He's just levels above Nikita Krylov, where it's like Nikita Krylov's peak has never touched Bobby Whittaker. I almost call him fucking Bobby Green again. We're due for Robert Whittaker TKO, in my opinion. Krylov's not really the same guy anymore. Like, he used to be very dangerous and push a crazy pace on you, but his chin is just gone. He's not sound offensively. It's all the way up in the air anytime he enters, and he overextends a lot of times when he throws, and it's just kind of dumb. He gets chinned a lot. We saw Reyes and Guskov send this guy into bad places. Does have good cardio, though, and can chain wrestle, and I think in this fight, kicking on the outside will be kind of his bread and butter, but he doesn't push that insane pace that he used to really push. And you kind of watch that Modestas Bukauskas fight back, and you're like, that was not really that good of a performance from either guy. And Modestas Bukauskas sucks, and Nikita Krylov somehow chinned him. That was more of a fight that I took away. It's Modestas Bukauskas is bad, and Nikita Krylov's not just having this late career resurgence. He is a giant, though, which does kind of worry me a little bit because Robert Whittaker is a midge. But he's also fought a lot of big guys throughout his career, whether it was like Israel Adesanya or most recently against an RDR. Like, he has fought guys comparable in size to a Nikita Krylov at middleweight. I think Whittaker wins this one, though. I think he's going to get a round 2, round 3 TKO, where I think his movement's going to be way too much for Nikita Krylov. He moves in and darts in so well with the jab, the hooks against orthodox. He's bad against southpaws, not a worry here. Can throw in that head kick, that iconic head kick in at the end of combinations. Also, really good takedown defense and scramble ability. So even if Nikita Krylov's going with this heavy wrestling game, Bobby Knuckles is going to stuff fucking takedowns, and he's going to be fine and can even mix in double legs of his own. I do worry that he's a little bit too dependent on blitzing in, which can kind of make him predictable and easy to knock out. But he's just so much faster than Nikita Krylov, and I think Krylov moving in and entering in would lead to him getting chinned. I like Rob by mid to late TKO. I don't like Krylov's chin. Bobby did fucking drop RDR. Don't forget that. I worry that Bobby is obviously in line for the Brazilian 10, and he's brought all of his 100 fucking kids here, and he said that he's the best he's ever felt. Those are all signs that he's going to lose. But I think Robert Whittaker is going to have a little bit of a run at light heavyweight. I think he's going to beat Krylov, beat somebody in that top 10, and then get brutally chinned, and then he'll retire. That's my prediction for Robert Whittaker. He can't run from the Brazilian 10 for forever. Let's move on to Gable Steveson versus Elisha Ellison. Now, I made a video about this on TikTok about the Mamba mentality of Gable. I don't really want to spend too much time on this video, but Gable Stevenson's a big Kobe Bryant fan. I mean, this guy back in 2019 was really embodying 03 Kobe with the loophole situation. He's a fucking scumbag, don't get me wrong. I think he's going to win this one very easily, though. Elisha Ellison, not that good. Lost to one of my favorite heavyweights, or heavyweight prospects, Brando Pericic, got chinned pretty brutally. I expect Gable to kind of take him down and get a ground and pound finish. I do think it is funny, though, This guy's a 4,001 favorite, and he's not that good. His defense is shit. His chin, it's like whatever. He'll get chinned by any competent fighter. I'm saying, after he beats Elisha Ellison, give this guy fucking Shamil Ghazi. If Shamil will send this guy to the shadow realm, it'll be absolutely awesome. It would be cool if the Snack Panther won this fight. I just don't really think he's that good. I get, he's a former military. He's got a good story. He's just not going to happen. Fucking loop-de-loop and pull motherfucker Gable Steveson. He's going to win this one by probably brutal finish. Let's move on to a more interesting fight. Cody Garbrandt versus Adrian Yanez. We are leaving Cody Garbrandt in 2016. I'm done with him. I've been a Cody No Love Garbrandt fan for the longest time. After the Xiaolong debacle, where he gets kneed in the balls 1,000 times and they bring out a bucket for him and he's dry heaving, maybe even threw up into a bucket. And then after all that's done, he runs at Lao Zhang and you're like, oh shit, Cody Garbrandt's going to get a highlight reel knockout. He does like a flying knee, misses, and then just dances around at range and does nothing. Throws nothing, emotes. Maybe he lands one overhand and then he dances around. I can't pick Cody Garbrandt anymore. I can't pick a guy who maybe throws 20 significant strikes in a 3-round fight. He moves around the cage and does nothing. We're leaving you in 2016. I'm done with you. Yanez has the tools to knock him out. Nice jab. Jesus, we'll push Cody Garbrandt back to the fence and probably finish him. Maybe there's a world where Cody Garbrandt finally locks it. He's on a McGregor card and he lets some punches out and flukes it and bombs Adrian Yanez with a knockout. I just don't think it's going to happen. Yanez, I think, is going to find the right hand that he really hit Ricky Simone with, which was a robbery, by the way. Should have been a clear Adrian Yanez win. And I just think it's going to be bye-bye Cody Garbrandt. It sucks. I've tried to will and wish a Cody Garbrandt knockout into the world for the longest time, and it's just not happening anymore. We're done. It's never going to fucking happen again. Adrian Yanez should win this one fairly easily. Let's talk about Luke Riley and Kai Kamaka, because I do think the lines have this fight fairly wrong, where I think Riley will win this one. It'll be a close decision, though, because Kai Kamaka is a savvy vet, second stint in the UFC, is a clinch-orientated fighter, nice body work, leg kicks. We kind of watched, if you saw his last fight, I believe it was in the Apex against Dakota Hope, did a nice job where it looked like he was going to get finished early, then really battled back into that one with really nice clinch and body work. All of his recent losses are by split decision, so I'm expecting this fight to be really close. But I just think Luke Riley is a little bit better. He has kind of that star X factor where I think he'll avoid the kicks of Kai Kamaka, also have really nice body work and set up his left hook. I expect this to be a really good scrap. It is crazy that Luke Riley is such an insane favorite in this one, because he had an last performance, I believe, against Michael Aswell. Got taken down with ease by Bogdan Grad before he finished him. And I just don't think he's good enough to be a minus 300 favorite against a guy who is, I would say, decent in Kai Kamaka. And Luke Riley leaves himself very open to be countered. I just don't think Kai Kamaka is that good in real boxing range. Is just kind of really good and close. And I don't think Kamaka is also a guy who's going to go out there headhunting and really punish the overhands of Luke Riley. You know what I mean? So I'm going to say Luke Riley wins this one just by X factor and just being better than Kai Kamaka. Let's move on to Tracy Cortez. Shout out Alex Pereira and Brian Ortega. Versus Wang Cong. I think Tracy's going to win this one with her wrestling. I was picking Wang Cong all week, and then I just look back at her last fight against Eduarda, what was her name, Mora, and she got taken down a lot in that one despite winning. Tracy Cortez is a vastly better fighter and a wrestler who, even when she gets you down, she will do ground and pound on you. I just worry that Wang Cong is going to kind of just get out wrestled pretty badly by a blockhead Mexican who is 1-0 in International Fight Week, by the way, won last year. So she's undefeated in International Fight Week. I think there's be a little Dana White privilege here. Maybe she gets a robbery decision. Wang, she'll have moments in this fight where she's nasty in the clinch off the break of these takedowns and a much better striker. But I just worry that she doesn't have as many paths to victory as Tracy Cortez, who I just think can outmuscle her, outbitch her, and just take her down and control her, and then also land ground and pound and win this one. Also, again, undefeated at International Fight Week. I'm taking Tracy Cortez by 29-28 unanimous decision. I'll probably regret this one because I do think a couple months back I said I was never picking Tracy Cortez to win a fight again. Let's just move on, though. Let's keep moving on down the card to Damian Pinas against Cesar Almeida. I think Pinas wins this one with ease. I mean, when you're able to KO a guy like West Party Time Schultz, you are now in the elite of the elite, and we all have to pay attention to, you know? It's a step up in competition, though, for him, because I think Almeida has at least had experience in the UFC. Just lost to Cesario Olasheshek, but it beat Ihor Pereira in his career. Does have a couple wins under his belt, and is a decent kickboxer, but I think the straight right of Damian Pinas and just his overall explosiveness will be too much. He's just so powerful, and yes, Almeida's a solid kickboxer who can move well, but Pinas will eventually find that straight punch, big straight right hand, and finish Cesar Almeida at some point in the second round, maybe first round. Moving on to Farid Basharat versus John Gaza. John Gaza, I mean, they just fucking dropped this blurry-ass picture of this kid. He's like 10 years old. He's a twink. He's stepping in on short notice for the GOAT Ethan Ewing. I don't even think he's been through puberty yet. His balls haven't dropped. The couple clips I have seen of him, though, he has looked decent, has shown some slick boxing, and, you know, maybe he wins this one. It's been the year of the upset. Ethan Ewing, remember when he came in on short notice and kicked Malcolm Wellmaker's ass? Anything's possible. But I think Farid Basharat is too good, too crafty, too light on his feet. And, you know, he does need a finish here. A lot of people have been saying this guy needs a finish here to get re-signed. I think he'll get re-signed anyway just because of the circumstances. But I think he wins this one. He's just too good. Nice jab, nice distance management. Nice job mixing up to the body. Just too experienced with his stance switching. And I'm just going to take him here by decision. John Garza, though, I am excited to kind of see this kid's career because the couple clips I have seen of him, again, he does show some slick finishing ability and slick striking. Let's go on to a Zach Reese, which this part got cut out, but Zach Reese did have a hair transplant. I actually think it worked out for him. Both guys have taken on Jose Medina. Reese went 3 rounds with him. Ryan Gandra finished him. I'm going simple MMA math here. Ryan Gandra by knockout because he brutalized Jose Medina. Like, Reese, I do think, is the better fighter here, where he fights really well behind his kicks, but he struggles a lot when you kind of get in his face and make it a brawl. Michel Pereira was boxing this guy up and making him bleed. Gandra's going to move forward, has real finishing ability, will just kind of blast hooks at you as he comes inside. And Reese would win this fight if he actually fought behind his kicks and used his length and used fight IQ, but he has none of that. And it kind of sucks because for some reason I've always liked this dude. Is one of my favorite unranked middleweights. I don't know if you're doing an unranked middleweight tier list, but Zach Reese has always been one of my favorite ones. I'm going Ryan Gandra by like round 1 or round 2 knockout. Let's talk about the last fight. And no better way to end it off than Cody Durden, who will spawn on every single card, every single big pay-per-view. And I think it's an interesting, good opening fight because Cody Durden's always live for some crafty bullshit where he somehow flukes up a win on you. I know he'd lost like 5 in a row before he just beat Jaffa Filho, but it's always some bullshit in a Cody Durden fight. And he can push a pace on you and put pressure on you. I think his cardio has gotten worse. And again, that Filho fight was really a shock because nobody thought he was going to win that one. But I think Alessandro Costa's too dangerous. Really nice calf kicks and power for his size. He's literally a midget. Also has pretty solid and competent grappling with submission threats. Durden could literally just shoot and put himself in a bad spot to get subbed. Or Costa's just going to counter Durden's jab pretty badly with calf kicks. Land nice uppercuts in the pocket. Has won his last 2 of her Marauders, Stuart Nickel. And who's the other? Not Con Olfe. Who's the other fucker you wanted against? Was it Matt Schnell? I think it might have been Matt Schnell. Yeah, he's beating real Marauders, real elite of the flyweight division. Durden can land his jab well in the early rounds, but I think Costa will just land harder overall and kind of just keep it on the feet and win this one with like a round 2 or round 3 knockout. Again, Cody Durden's always live for some bullshit. He's on every card for a reason because he can fluke shit up. He's a crafty McCraftster, but I'm going to go with Alessandro Costa by round 2 or round 3 knockout in this one. And that's the breakdown. If you're new here, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Hopefully Conor McGregor kind of wins because it's a little bit more interesting. I know, he did some stuff to women. He did. I don't condone any of that. I don't condone any of the stuff he did to the fucking women, but I'm looking at this strictly from a UFC perspective. It's a little bit more interesting if he wins. If Max wins, who really fucking gives a fuck? Either way, though, if you're new here, remember to like, comment, subscribe. The doctor is signing off.